Okay, so the first thing I'm just kind of going to do is I'm just going to dabble into some black, and I'm just going to throw black in here. And the reason why I like doing this is because this dries so quickly with these cheap acrylics that you could turn around, and then once you put your oils over top of this, you know, then you've got time to move your brush in and all that stuff. But first thing I want to do is just get some of this black in. One thing one of my professors told me is that you can't have light without darks. So we're just going to throw a bunch of black in here, which we're going to do when we start it with oils. And just have fun with it. Just throw it in wherever you want. I might go down here and balance that out just a little bit. Maybe we want some blue down in here. We're just creating a dark background to get our stuff on. Let's go into some purples up in here. Squishing those all around just to get our colors in there, just to get some dark in the background. Have fun. Squish, squish, squish. Let's pick up a little bit more purple and get a little bit more purple in here. Let's throw a little bit of orange in here and just get some colors in. There's a lot of black still on my brush. Let's get it off down here. Okay, I think before I go in, now you can see as I put a piece to cover our main bird. And over here, because this is going to be I think I want to put another bird in here. I'm just going to kind of fill in some blues. It's just kind of going to give me an image of that other bird being in here. Like I said, this is going to be very abstract. So keep your strokes, any type of strokes, keep them very light. We'll go in and we'll fill the head. And let's just get a little bit of that up through here. Like I said, when we go in and we do this in oils, this is just the under section of giving us an idea that there's another bird here. So I'm going to pick up my brush and I'm going to get this really, really, really wet. And then we're just going to flick some paint on there. Just let it run, let it do whatever you want it to do. But it's just going to give it a little bit more character of something in the background. Okay, so just with my wet brush, I decided to go in just with this acrylic just to give me my shadow. It's shadowed on this side, it's shadowed on this side of the beak. And it's shadowed, it's holding something. So I'm going to want to get a shadow on this side of those toes. On here. And then along whatever it's holding. Maybe we'll turn that into something, I don't know. And then the bird itself has an undercollar of dark that kind of runs up his cheek. And so I'm just going to put that little bit of shadow in there too, right through there. As you know, I'm not being perfect with this right now. It's just getting the under stuff in. And it comes around this way. Once again, this is just a damp, what was left over when I cleaned out my brush. And I thought, you know what, I might as well just go through and wipe it off. So I'm just going to go through and just wipe off my brush. And we're still leaving, this is actually almost dry, so I'm just using this to clean my brush. So I'll just go in and just tint him down a little bit, just as we let this brush dry up. Okay, we're ready to start with our oils. So I'm going to use the same brush, just washed it out. It's just a big flat brush. And I'm going to go into, let's see, my lavender, my purple. And I have just a dab of linseed oil in here if I need it. And we're just going to lay in, and I do need it. So I want to pick up. And we're just going to go in and start placing that with just using random brush strokes all over the place. And laying in our lavenders where we want some of our lavender in here. There's a big piece of lavender. And it kind of, because oils are far more translucent, you can lay it in a lot. You can lay it in really heavy and thick, or you can just lay it in a little lighter. Saves a little bit on the paint doing things this way. Let's see, I want to hit it in a few places, making sure that my lavender will show up in a few places along here. Or purple, whichever color you want. Okay, and I'm just going to go into the blue. I'm going to save the black for last, and I might want to add, actually there's a little bit more purple through here. Drop my oil, and we're just had to add some light. Now I'm going to go into some black, and I'm just going to lay that in. Stand up to do this one. Switch directions. See why I love oils. Oils are so forgiving. Get some black up through here. Black my into the background. And the same here. Okay, so I've got most of my black on. And I'm going to pick up a different brush, only because I think I can't clean that out real quickly. So I'm just going to pick up a different one. I'm going to go into that gold that I mentioned. And I like how, we've got a little bit of that here, in different places. So we're just going to go in and we're just going to touch. Just give it a few throughout the piece just to make it look a little interesting. Now I'm going to move into this bird, and he's got a very dark beak here. And that should be coming, looking down towards us. Because he's kind of here, sitting here, here, and then he's kind of looking at us this way. And so we're just going to give the idea that there's that bird sitting in there. Right? Okay, and then I want to separate out a few things here. And I believe the dark of the beak, and we've got a dark color that comes around the side here. Under him. I got too much done. Give this image of this bird back in here. So I'm going to want some dark in through his feathers. And it almost looks like he's sitting on a branch that direction, huh? So let's just continue that. Get some dark back in here. And then the top of his head needs to be a dark blue. So I'm going to pick up the dark blue. And I'm just going to highlight a little bit here, give an idea that this is the top of his head and where the light's coming from. there. His face is turned looking towards me, so he'll have more on his cheek. And then along his back, let's get just some of the indications of a bird back here. Okay. And then I want to put some of this down in this tail. Went over that twice, I shouldn't have. Pick it up. Just an indication of these. And I'm going to just go in with this beak. I'm trying to hold the brush just so I'm catching this section of the beak. And if you feel like that's too strong, you can always, knock it back down by blending it out a little bit. And then maybe just a tiny bit of a light gray right through there. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of, I'm going to make it right through where there, underneath here. See how that's just that, just by touching that, gives an indication that that's light right there, and then back towards his eye. We can't really see all of this because he's blended into the background, and he gets a little bit of white that goes under his. Turn the brush this way. A little bit of white that comes under here. Gives us an idea of the. So I'm going to start in kind of the background, picking up what was left of my cerulean blue. And I'm going to put his wings in here. Let's get some dark in around his head. And his wings a little bit straighter here. And right now I'm just scrubbing it just to get some oil on that canvas. So just scrubbing it in. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So I want to sweep those wings up. And I think I'm going to do it in a double layer. So let's have another one layer that's going to come along here. So these are going to go out like that. A little bit of gold back in there. That's kind of cool. Let's pick up a filbert, and that way it'll give us a wing tip if we pull this way. There we go. Get some of those. Now I'm just mixing a little bit of white in along with it. That way I can get those indications of this leftover. Blue right down in. I'm going to do kind of the shadow that's in his head. Comes around and it's very shadowed right here, and the side of his beak. He's kind of looking more towards us with this beak, and the underside of this is all kind of dark. So I'm going to put all that in first. We can always go back and fix it if we don't like it. But getting this shadow in, gray back in here, a little bit of gray. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and just a little bit of that lighter gray down along the side of here, up around here. Kind of goes straight along here, and then up the other side of his face. worry about imperfections. I like how that picked up a little bit of that purple. And I think that I like the under. Let's get some of this dark in here under this bill. Just to get it. Okay. And then he's holding something with his claws right here. And I want to get those shadows in under this. All the way back down here. And then I'm just going to scrub it off. And then here, there's so many of his feathers. So what I've got left over of just this black and shadowing, I'm just going to go in here and scrub that in, making sure, like, you know me, I hate seeing any of those dots through the board. So I am just going to scrub in and give myself a layer to work with. And underlayment layer. Like that gold we brought up through there. And pick up a little bit more and scrub all that in. Scrub in. Maybe that's a little bit more orangey. We're just going to lay, that's a dark one. We can just lay orange right over top of that and get that tone underneath that. As you can see on my palette, it almost disappears. But then let's go back in and pick up the gold. And lay that gold right on top of that branch. And my red, I'm going to come right into here, and I'm just going to lay that over. And actually, it would look kind of cool if I went this way, because that would show more of a feathery. I'm going to come down right through all of this, just kind of laying in the background of what his feathers. Oh, I forgot that he's got something in his hand right there, so we're going to stop right about there. But let's come here. Undertone is all red right through here. Okay. And up by his foot. He's got something here, right? Yep, that right there. We'll have to come back and fix that later. And then most of his foot comes down this way. This is the undertone of his under of his body. You can see as we start hitting that dark how it kind of fades back out down through here. And we're just going to indicate a little bit of color right through here. Giving the idea of feathers. Almost just tapping. A little bit more of that light. Almost just tapping. Giving that idea of feathers. Oh, before I clean off my brush, I'm going to go up with this red, a little bit of orange, and I'm going to put in some of these up through here. yellow with that. Let's get that in here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to just kind of give that edge, blend that. Then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the whole thing upside down. I might have to put the other board underneath it so you can see it. So this is my wing. But by turning my board upside down, I don't have to go this way in order to make the feathers, right? Or to make the feathers coming back this way. So if I do that, then I can almost create feathers by just pulling this direction. So I'm going to want to put in, there we go, some of these dark tones, but my brush strokes will make it look like, when I turn it back around, will make it look like they're feathers. Now I'm going to go really dark purple through here first. Remember, I hadn't toned this section. Once again, I'm running out of paint. But sometimes, don't stress about turning your painting upside down. You know, especially if you're having difficulty getting a brush stroke a certain way that you want it. So now at least I have a base on that it'll smooth a little bit better. Right down to his foot. His foot's going to come out and go that way. Okay. See how I'm just pushing back up, pushing back up, pushing back up, pushing back up. And by hitting some of that black, actually, it's giving me a little bit of almost a green tone in there. Okay. Good. This is just getting the paint on. Okay, that's giving us idea of indication of feathers. Now I really, even though the light's coming this way, I don't like it so separated. So let's pick a little bit more of kind of the orange and get it back into here. And get some indication of these feathers back in here, and the same lap over kind of in here. Yeah, I like that just a little bit better, giving just a little indication of a, okay. Okay, I'm going to kind of work on the feet now. And the claws kind of come out like this, and down and around. This one will come out a little bit further. I'm just laying in how he's gripping around this. And I think I just lay in a little bit of green up through here. More of that green. We'll blend that in a little bit there, a little bit. There's actually some white right along in here that it'll probably go in and put in. But for right now, let's just get some of that green in. Pick up a little orange and get that back up in here. I think we need then to go to, I think we're just going to pick up a small brush now, little one, and let's just indicate the more darker up in here where his eyes at. This is a lousy brush. Just filling that in. Okay. So here, now we know that here was his beak. Get this. Let's see, I think I want to go back up into here and fill that in with black. Kind of like his head in more of that green. Just a tiny bit to indicate that somewhere in there there's an eye. You should have done this later. Also need to fill in his feet here. They're kind of a knuckly little foot. He's just going to disappear back in there, these knuckles. He actually has 3 claws, but we'll go back and highlight those after we get all that undershadow in. Did with the brown. We're just going to go in and accent the top of each one of these. Just to kind of indicate these little claws poking out here and gripping. Okay, and these are kind of a jaggedy claw. Swipe that back up that way. Get him a couple feathers in here. Pick up a light blue. I think I want to come over this way and give him another brilliant blue. Let's get a little darker in here. Let's bring it off the page. And right here where this body's coming in, we're going to just give him some backwards feathers. Just kind of indicating some feathers right through here. Let's give him a long one. Let's give him a long one over here. And maybe blend it into this. Okay, now we're going to mix it with a little bit more white. And we're going to give him a big long feather right here, going right into there. Now I wiggled, and I don't want to wiggle. And it picked up black, so I want to do that again. Clean my brush so I'm not picking up black. And sometimes I'm going to turn him upside down. Like I said, bringing, or sideways, bringing that. If you have trouble with that, turning this stuff upside down, you can pull a stroke instead of pushing a stroke. Open my brush up, and we're going to pull that stroke there forward like that. There we go. So while we're here, let's give him a few more. Okay. Do a few in here that overlap those dark blue. So let's give him another one here and another one there. There we go. And if we want, we can even just do a small one right there. There we go. So now I'm going to turn him back over so we can assess what our thing looks like. Oh, got too many brushes in my hand at the same time. Okay, but we're just going to go right back over each one of those with just a little bit of tips. Oh yeah, look at that. Now if you run out of paint, go back, pick it up. Boom, 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 boom. Let's get one out here. There we go. And then it just kind of fades off into the back. But now we're going to take this color, and I want to just go around along the edge of that. So I kind of want kind of a sharp edge depicting the fall. Highlighting it. And we're going to come back in here and get more of these feathers in. If you notice on this one, I'm just tipping my brush upside down and feathers overlap. Feathers overlap, so you want to go between. Brush, and let's put one right here. Indicate a feather. Let's get one in about right here. And then about right here, let's put a big one. Oh, big one in there. We're going to come off the page with this one. Go in there. A little bit more orange. Pick up some of this red. There, I want a little bit more indication of red. There we go. Let's have another one right in here. That's a lot more red. There we go. And I want a little bit of separation here, so let's get one in there too. Got more of that red tone. Looks like blended it there. I want a little bit pink. It's okay. We're gonna come back in. Let's get a few reds up in here. So let's put another one in here. There, I like that better. Starting to fill in the wing a little bit. Okay. Still have to decide what he's chewing on right there. So let's pretend it's a carrot. Let's do a carrot. So I'm going to go in here with a little bit of dark orange, and I'm going to put the base of something right in there. And let's just give it a little darker first. Okay, so now that we've just got our undertones, we were back working on this wing. I'm just going to pick up some orange. Now, I'm going to get some of this back in. Just indicating some feathers along here. Let's bring those up. Maybe we want a long one here. Here, I kind of want it to run off the canvas. So I'm going to just put a few here. Oh, remember to wipe your brush in between when you pick up your colors, because here we've got undertones of really darks and blacks, stuff like that. So when you go to swipe, you'll end up with those colors in it if you don't wipe your brush off. And I want this to kind of go off the canvas with this. Let's get one right here. And just to balance this a little bit, we need to get a little bit of brightness in here. So I'm just going to accent that a little bit, I think.